Okay, we are live. So I'll just give a short introduction. Hi everyone, welcome to the Finance Story LinkedIn Live series brought to you by Pazy and Startup Movers. In this series, we dive into market trends, industry insights, and emerging opportunities, all to help you make smarter decisions for your career and your organization. So, I've always been very curious about the audit market in the UAE. So, today we are catching up with Thomas Vanhee, who's a founding partner at Aurifer. So, Aurifer is a leading boutique tax firm in the UAE with presence in, of course, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, as well as Riyadh, and now they're expanding into audit. So I'm really excited to understand why is Aurifer expanding into audit because usually tax firms stick to being tax firms, right? So we're going to understand with Thomas what are the opportunities, what's the audit landscape like, and understand how Aurifer is approaching the space. So Thomas, thanks a ton for your time. I've been following you for quite some time. Love what you guys have built and building. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chantel, for having me. I appreciate it, and I know previously you had one of our partners on as well. Obviously, it's been quite a journey since 2017, indeed. And as you rightfully say, we've developed very well in the tax space and in the GCC. That was always our aim. And then very recently, right, we ventured into the audit space. We are licensed in the IFC to provide audit services. You might ask yourself, indeed, why do that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you discuss with people in large international accounting firms, they don't like their auditors because it prevents them sometimes from providing certain services because of independence rules and whatnot. I felt like this was a natural extension for our business. And the reason why is relatively simple, right? And historically speaking, statutory audits were required in the UAE, but only for a limited amount of businesses. Uh, let's say listed companies or regulated businesses. And with the introduction of corporate income tax, that requirement has significantly expanded in terms of the companies that require it.
Yep.
So it's a business opportunity, but at the same time, it is an opportunity for us to connect better with clients, to go deeper into it, and to make sure indeed that there is a crossover between the high quality tax services that we provide, which hopefully will cross over into very high quality audit services as well for our clients.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Thomas. But before diving into why audit and what's happened in the last few years in at Aurifer with tax, can you tell us a little bit about, let's rewind a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what did you look into the UAE market that you moved from, mature markets like Belgium and France way back in 2017? What was the opportunity that you spotted here, which you were in a tier one tax law firm? So tell us a little bit about it.
Um, it was actually more of a coincidence. Sometimes in life, coincidences happen, right? The initial intention was for me to be seconded for 2 years to the UAE and work in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And then eventually I decided to leave my employer and start the firm in August 2017. Um, the reason why it was a coincidence it was because the plan was effectively to go back home and continue my career there. But I quite enjoyed Dubai, the UAE in general, and Saudi Arabia. Um, you have to know that I was in Dubai actually in 2014 previously on a trip, but at that point I didn't like Dubai. I came back and I said this is not really a place that I understand and that I want to develop in. But when I arrived here in 2017, I understood that there was an opportunity in the market to provide tax services at a good level, at a high level. And then, obviously, spending more time here, I quite liked the city. I liked the dynamic, the business focus. And obviously the rulers of the country, both in UAE and Saudi Arabia, have this real ambition and drive, which is sometimes a bit missing in Europe currently.
Yep.
Uh, Europe has become, with a slight exaggeration, a bit of a museum for some, right? Or and for at least European expats, they always say the same thing when they travel home. They feel like they're traveling back in time a bit,
Yep.
right? And that is, here you find the ambition, you find the drive, a dynamic, which is exciting for me. So and obviously, in addition to that, then I founded my family here as well, so not just the company, and this has become home for us.
Amazing. So glad you gave Dubai a second chance. Totally worth it. Cool. So I'm really curious to understand. You moved here in 2017. Okay. I'm sure you would have you wouldn't know the in-depth dynamics of the market. What led you to start Aurifer? How did it's quite a bold move, right? What was it that helped you decide on it?
Well, naivety and stupidity help. In 2017, I was 10 years into my career, and I was not married, so I didn't necessarily have many constraints. So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. And it was really one of four options in my career, and then I thought, okay, why not try it? I'm saying this slightly, maybe lighthearted, but I did, when I started, I pushed as hard as I could, to make sure that we could put our foot next to the big boys. And it's a very humbling process, actually, to start your own business. Once you leave the big names and the big structures, and you go and see the same people, but those same people don't sign contracts with you because now there's a different brand, or they do sign the contract with you, but you need to double your efforts, and maybe not be able to charge the same fee. That is something that really puts your feet on the ground. I didn't have any doubt that it would succeed, but I did consider, what's the worst thing that can happen to me if I'm at the time single and not really have any commitments. Then I could, try and apply somewhere, and I was hoping that at some point somebody would hire me. I was confident enough in my skills that would happen, but maybe that's just naive. So it all kind of happened, and then obviously that's how it started, and then it does require um, a constant commitment and a constant push. And I think any entrepreneur would recognize that. So there is a great deal of anxiety associated with being an entrepreneur, which is, you always need to think about whether you're going to be able to make payroll next month, be able to pay all of your expenses and whatnot. That anxiety decreases with the size of the firm, but it is still there, ingrained in somebody, in the back of their minds.
Amazing. I had an idea that you would have moved to the UAE in 2017 with a plan that, hey, let's start Oliver. But that's not what it is. So, how was the first few years? I mean, how was the first year? It was just you, or you already had a team, or you built a team? How was it?
Yeah, my vision was always long term, so I didn't want to only ride the wave of the introduction of excise tax in 2017 and VAT in 2018, because I believe that if you don't put down deep roots, then your success is going to be temporary. So we always invested heavily in hiring, in education, and whatnot, in order to increase the size and the platform. Um, and that means actually that for me, the first years were tougher than for other firms that only looked at this short term.
Yeah.
We invested more in the initial years. And that also meant, and this is the kind of one of the sacrifices that any entrepreneur who's serious about their journey
Yeah.
needs to make, which is you need to sacrifice your remuneration in the first couple of years. And it meant that when I had left my previous employer, I had a really good salary, and I didn't make that same salary for 2 years. And any funds which come in, you first pay your staff, you don't pay yourself. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you shouldn't start a firm. So that's an important one. The other one is cash flow, right? I know it's a cliche, and every entrepreneur says it, but it is absolutely incredibly crucial. We came to a point a couple of months into the journey that I was worried, and that I called my parents. I said, if I cannot make payroll at the end of the month, could you lend me some money? I know money should be coming in, but I'm just not sure that in the next 10 days it will come in. And luckily it did. And I didn't need the support from my parents. I never needed support from anybody. But it is one of those things that you never forget. So it's quite important, and that's why, an entrepreneurial organization, something that has been built from the ground up, necessarily has a different outlook on things, or a different approach towards things, compared to a very heavily institutionalized and international firm where everything is already in place, and maybe people take things a bit more for granted.
Amazing. I could ask you a lot more about Aurifer and your journey, and we should cover this maybe at some point. What I would really like to understand is when you're talking about Aurifer has managed to, be in a league with it's like one of the top boutique firms, right? It's a leading boutique firm. But in the last few years, a lot of tax firms arrived in the UAE. There was an influx of firms here, right? So what exactly helped Aurifer stand out and make its mark? I understand you guys are growing and doing really well, but what would be the differentiator?
Well, the biggest differentiator between our firm and any of our competitors is that we are UAE headquartered and homegrown. There is not a single firm which is on the market competing with us, which has its decision center in the UAE. And that is an incredible difference that it makes. It makes that decisions are taken from here, the drive is taken from here, every single initiative is taken from here, rather than having some headquarters somewhere else, deciding for you. So that is an incredible difference. The other one is we, compared to newcomers in the market, we have put down our roots in 2017. And that means that those roots today are incredibly deep. And that means that the types of clients that we serve today are the clients that the large competitors of ours also serve. That is more difficult if you're only just started in the last couple of years. And then further expanding our services also with audit, it really means that we have a breadth of experience and people to count on, which is only going to be increasing. That being said, what I really favor in terms of the philosophy of the development of the firm is that we go step by step. Right? It is quite easy to get carried away and to jump on the next opportunity, and to reinvent oneself. Today you're an accountant or a lawyer, and tomorrow you're an e-invoicing specialist, for example. I really believe that we should play the long game, and we are doing that. If you play the short game and jump on the next opportunity, and only really are going to be reasoning short term, then you are going to put your client relationships at risk. And our client relationships, they run very much back a number of years, and we are in constant touch with those clients, and they're very loyal and faithful to us. So I think it is a very substantial differentiator compared to the other firms.
I have to ask you this, Thomas. How has the market for consulting firms, boutique consulting firms, changed over the last few years? Earlier, it was very dominated by the big fours. Everyone was like, hey, these are the big guys. Very difficult to compete with them. So, is it still the same? Has it changed? How do you look at it?
Well, I think first off, there's space for everybody in the market. So we don't have to be cutthroat with each other and try and operate in certain manners which we don't deem a long-term strategy. Of course, historically, the Big Four have a really good position, right? And that is in part because of the fact that they are statutory auditors to some of the bigger companies. Um, I think the market, the size of the market has expanded. We've all found our place and our space. And obviously, yeah, the clients that we service are clients that would also fit very well with the Big Four. But as said, there is a space for everybody, and there's a space in the market for a firm like ours that has a slightly different approach to things. Not saying that that's better; it's just different. So I think, uh, as in any place globally, right? What you see is that there is a market to be served. What I will say is, and this is something that very often people in the Big Four don't fully grasp, is the Big Four believe that they dominate the market. And actually, what we can see is once you step out of it, it is not the case. A large overestimation on the part of the Big Four in terms of the clients which they serve. They believe that anybody outside the Big Four does not serve large corporates. That is not correct. Anybody outside of the Big Four does not have the same type of work or the same type of projects. That is not correct, right? So I think that's probably something that perhaps the Big Four need to realize a bit more. But I think they do, and in discussions and whatnot with peers, they understand we are on the market, so are they. We're alternatives to each other. Whatever fits the client's needs, that's where they're going to go.
Okay, and this is my last question on tax, but do you see a scope for a lot more boutique firms entering the UAE as such? Do you see there's a need?
Anybody who comes to the party now, I think the lights are coming on at the party. So it's the end of the big wave, I would say. So if you're entering now, it's late. Will there be others on the market? Absolutely. There will be others who are going to come, and we welcome them to elevate the standards in the market. We'd be happy to collaborate with them where we can, where we're conflicted and we clients want somebody else. Absolutely. So everybody's welcome.
Okay, and you have offices in Riyadh and Doha as well. So how are these markets and how do you look at them?
Market dynamics in Saudi Arabia are very substantially different, right? You see more of the heavy industries, traditional manufacturing, older types of industries. Whereas in the UAE, you see a lot of the regional holding structures, financing structures, two very important financial centers. So the typology of the types of clients is very different. Um, uh, Qatar is somewhere in between, right? To have an important financial center with the QFC, but they don't have the size of Saudi Arabia. Saudi is very much developing at the pace of the spending of the government. So that's really something to look at now. What has been really exciting to see is the transformation that Saudi has gone through culturally and economically in the last couple of years, and you can see it very tangibly when I go to Riyadh. The roads are blocked. There's so many people that have moved to Riyadh for career opportunities that today it's a really exciting city with really good hospitality and a pleasant place to be. But yeah, it develops at a different pace, right? So people don't go to Saudi for the opportunity to conduct tax planning; they do for the UAE. So it makes it a really different type of services that we provide and a different typology in terms of clients.
Amazing. And everyone who's watching, and thanks a ton for your time. If you have any questions, please comment below. You could You could write to me and I can connect you to Thomas, whatever works. Okay, so I have this question for you. It's all about audit right now. You guys have built a name for yourself in tax in the UAE, Riyadh. Now you're adding a new service line. Whenever I speak to any tax firm in the UAE, and I speak to a lot of them, nobody's interested in moving into audit. They're like, hey, no audit. Okay. But what are the recent developments in the UAE audit landscape that would have probably got you thinking that, hey, let's look at audit as well? What got you thinking?
Well, let's see in a couple of years whether it was smart or stupid, right? At least I believe that it was the right choice. As I mentioned previously, there's a lot more emphasis on the accuracy of financial statements in the UAE. So that means that there is more, that the pie there is also getting bigger. So there's space for people outside of the traditional go to service providers. Um, what I concluded when I did some research is that clients are unhappy with their auditors because they don't deliver on time, they don't fully understand the clients, and at the same time, the auditors themselves, they were unhappy because they are doing an incredible amount of work. Really, their working hours are quite long, and so that you find this. When you observe this situation, it must be then that if you come into the market and you provide a better service, right? The clients do not flag fees as the main criterion to choose this or that auditor. It's the reliability and the responsiveness. And auditors who are unhappy with their current employment, then that flagged to me that there's an opportunity, coupled with the fact that corporate income tax forces those businesses to have better financial statements. So I think that was the conclusion. I wish I had started it a bit earlier, because we can see that it's developing very well. And from our perspective, 5 or 6 years down the line, the revenue from audit is going to be the same as the revenue from tax. I can guarantee you that. And like with tax, we're going to go step by step, win good engagements, good clients, serve them well, create some good energy there, and build further on that going into the future. The attractiveness further of the audit mandates is that you have the annual touch points with clients, right? They are with you and you are with them. And there's a lot more deeper relationships to be created, and you go deeper into numbers than the situation where you receive the financial statements and you need to advise on what the tax implications are of the earnings of that quarter or that month. So it really allows us to go deeper. And the reason why the big four are unbreakable on a global scale is audit, in my opinion. They cannot survive without it, and there is absolutely not a single tax advisory firm in the world that is even remotely at the size of the big four and does not have an audit department.
True
So
that.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. No,
no,
so
that was my.
that's No, that's spot on. Okay, but since you spoke about the big fours, right? How would you manage conflict of interest if your tax clients want audit and your audit clients want tax services? So how do you manage that? Because the big fours have got into a lot of trouble because of this. So how do you look at
Yeah.
it?
So as I said, we do baby steps with this. We need to build it up, and that means that in the initial stage, our clients that we are trying to sign are clients which are not regulated and not listed.
Yep.
And when that is the case, you have less of independence issues, right? We will get to listed entities and regulated entities in a later stage. But the fact of the matter is, we need to first build up, and we will look into this in a second stage. So for now, we will have none of those types of conflicts. We've managed our independence requirements well, in a compliant manner, independent teams, independent systems, and whatnot. But as to the ones where there could be greater source of conflict, we will not handle them right now. Of course, if a client today wants to have a different auditor than a tax advisor, then that's contractually something that we will respect, and that's up to the discretion of the client, of course.
Yep, yep. Cool. So, Thomas, audit is also highly regulated. How tough is it to get the license to be an auditor? What's the process like? If you can just run us through that very quickly.
It is complicated, as you say. It is highly regulated. You need to submit a plan, make sure that you have certain controls in place. It is a market with a high barrier to entry, and that is one of the reasons why you see other firms not doing it. We've taken that choice. We are investing in it heavily, but it is a tough market to crack at the beginning. It's very really difficult to start. Once you have started, then it goes a bit easier. But indeed, the regulatory part is an ongoing source of concern for us to make sure that we comply with all requirements.
So, how long does the licensing and all of the compliance, once to get certified as an auditor, how long does that take?
Well, we started the whole process from trying to identify the business opportunity up until getting the license. That took us more than a year, because it's not so much putting in the application, but it's also finding the people, right? And that's always the most difficult part of starting a business, is to find your first high quality people. And if you make a mistake with that, you can easily lose 1 to 2 years. If you find the right people, then you can take off a bit quicker. But it is incredibly complex and easy to make a mistake in. It's finding the right people, then designing the processes, trying to understand where to fit in the market, establish relationships as well, because as I said, the UAE, there's a high barrier to entry, and it's also a fragmented market, because an auditor in one zone cannot necessarily audit in another zone. So you always have to work together with other partner firms as well. So that takes a lot of time, a lot of trying to build goodwill with others. So yeah, there's long lead time, and even then, when you start off, obviously, the clients don't fall from a tree. Then once you get your license, you need to start thinking, okay, who can I talk to offer my services, and how can I really be in the market? We ran a marketing campaign in the DIFC. For 2 weeks, we had our brand ongoing there on a big sign. That was good to make sure that people remember us also for audit and not just for tax. But yeah, it is. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither
Yep.
will this audit firm be.
So, how has the clients responded? I mean, what did they have to say, and how's it going so far? It's just been a couple of months, I understand, but
Yeah,
what has it been like?
we had a great deal of interest from our tax clients. And the main reasons why they would move away from their current auditors is, as I said, responsiveness, uh, delays with their current auditors, communication, and then also quality. And we very quickly signed a couple of our clients who were faithful clients, long-term clients, from a tax point of view, who said, okay, we also want to use you as an auditor. I think overall in the audit market, you will see a leveling up in the next couple of years. Right, there is a great deal of emphasis placed by ADGM, DIFC, but also the
Yep.
Ministry of Economy, on trying to get the level of the auditors to increase.
Yep.
There is a lot of work pressure actually on those auditors. It is not an easy um, market to operate in. There is some fee pressure on the auditors, not just in the UAE, but globally. And obviously, we need to try and convince some clients that it is worth perhaps spending a bit more, but doing the work right and diligently. And we obviously have the corporate income tax return as the convincing factor for that. It is necessary that your financial statements are accurate, because that will make your corporate income tax return also accurate.
Okay, so UAE is now going to take audit seriously. Earlier, it was a little casual, right? Now it's they're going to pay attention to. So that's a big opportunity.
Yeah, I will say DIFC and ADGM were not taking it casually. Neither were listed businesses and other types of regulated businesses. But you're absolutely right. Outside of that, there was, in effect, there was less of a need for high quality standards. Now there is the exception for businesses that wanted to borrow from banks and other financial institutions. Right
Yep.
there, the banks would scrutinize the financial statements more, because they're exposed if they lend to businesses that don't have proper records. So that was there nonetheless. But you're right. Overall, it was maybe not treated in the same manner as
Yep.
you would expect, for example, in India or in other places where this is more established. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so my question for you is, what are your growth targets or ambition for Aurifer audit in the next 3 to 5 years? You did mention it will be equal to Aurifer tax coming soon. So what is it?
Well, it depends on your definition of soon, but I think in 5 to 6 years, the revenues are going to match each other, while our tax practice is going to further grow every year with double digits. We As I said, it's a bit step by step, right? But the fun thing with audit is that you have repeat clients, which you can really build on. So you can build really step by step. Um, as I said in one of my previous comments, like it's easy to get carried away on like a booming economy and
Yep.
opportunities and whatnot, but we want those relationships to be deep, enduring, and long term, and that's really what we see with our clients. So let's go step by step. Let's not make any mistakes. Let's move forward and have a very stable practice, both from a tax point of view and from an audit point of view. And then 5 or 6 years down the line, we will be bigger than we are today, but we will also be sustainable and grounded.
That's amazing. And when you talk about audit careers, Thomas, do you see there's going to be a rise in the need for auditors? Do you see that happening sometime soon? Because we saw a large number of tax professionals moving in. Do you see that with audit as well, say in the next 5 to 6 years?
In parts, they some of them are in as well, and a lot of the firms in the GCC, they take support from uh, people in other countries that also can provide the audit services, a bit more of the legwork and the execution work. So I'd say those structures are largely already in place. I'm not necessarily expecting that there's going to be a very large influx of audit staff. I think it will grow, definitely, but while it will grow, also those centers which are perhaps not in the UAE will also grow together with it. So maybe in the two places there will be some growth, but I don't think not in the same manner as we saw tax professionals fresh
Yep.
moving over in the last couple of years.
And will you expand your audit services to Saudi as well, or for now it's a big focus on the UAE?
No, no, that's on the books indeed. We will do that.
Okay.
So watch that space, but give me some time, please.
Okay, definitely. And are you hiring? Are there any job opportunities at Aurifer? Where can folks apply to?
Yeah, we are always hiring interns and juniors on an ongoing basis. As to more senior profiles, it depends what their expertise is, right? I also believe that we need to give the opportunity for people to grow from within, which is
Yeah.
why I was referring to interns and associates, because if you manage to get somebody in from the ground level, you can really make sure that they understand the corporate philosophy, the ways of working. Whereas if you hire somebody from another firm, what you see typically is that they take quite some time to adapt and to reformat their brains a bit.
Amazing. You know, you're also a professor, a faculty member at a couple of colleges and universities in the UAE. So, what have you observed with the new gen? Do they want to get into tax? Do they want to get into audit? What is the difference?
Um, The most of my teaching assignments are to law students. For them, tax is slightly, sometimes slightly too much numbers. I'm a lawyer myself, but I can use a calculator. So for them, it is sometimes not always the first choice. But what you see is, especially in the work that we do, which is a lot around structuring and M&A. So it's really the sophisticated type of work. You see that that's very attractive to people with a legal profile. Um, what I have observed as well ever since I started teaching in the UAE is that the level of the students has increased, which is quite good. The number of the students has increased as well. So things have gotten more mature from that point of view. Um, we obviously have our program running together with Middlesex University, which provides a GCC tax certificate. So we see that there's interest for some of these matters, although I wish there was more even. I would like to get that more out in the open. But yeah, as to the new generation, I don't know. There's a lot of press articles and whatnot about the new generation, but I find that we have an amazing team here that works hard. Is pleasant to work with, and absolutely does a smashing job. So I have no complaints.
Absolutely. I know a couple of your colleagues, amazing folks. Great.
Okay.
I've had great conversations with them. Yeah, cool. So, I've asked you a lot of questions, Thomas, and you've kindly answered all of them. Any closing message for those watching? Either they're excited to enter the UAE market, start their own firm, or they're just curious about the market. What would you like to tell them? Just one solid message.
I think it's always good in life to try things. The more you get exposed to things and the more you try things, the more you understand what works for you. And in that sense, it might be helpful for people to test the waters, see what they can do in the UAE, see if tax or audit fits for them, or more, run-of-the-mill accounting and bookkeeping and whatnot. I think life is too short not to try certain things. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Thomas. Thanks a lot for your time and learned quite a few things. Really impressed by the way you've built Aurifer, the bold moves, starting all out. Quite exciting. And all the best for Aurifer Tax and Aurifer Audit. And everyone who's
Thank
watching, thanks a ton for your time. And really glad you guys joined in. Thank you.
thank you for having me. Thank you, Chantal.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you.